All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second live stream here of the OCA Indoor Road Racing Series presented by ARC Event Management and also the Ontario Cycling Association. It is Saturday, May the 23rd at 10:30 a.m., and we're just less than 5 minutes away from the start of the first race of the day, which is our A group. We finally got all these races separated, so they will be starting at 10:30, followed by the B group at 10:32, C's at 10:34, D's at 10:36, and finally our women in the E group at 10:38. So 2-minute starts between all the groups. And of course, it is the same as all of the other events where we have our E12s and Master 1s in the A group and so on down the list. I'm going to try to follow as many groups as I can today. It is going to be a large course, so jumping around the Zwift interface will be a little bit tricky, but we'll try to get everybody there and some shout-outs along the way. There are over 450 starters in this race today, a huge turnout. I suppose a lot of that has to do with the article that we had in Zwift Insider. Thanks, Eric, for putting that out there for us. So we are now one of the larger events on the weekend here for riders to come. Unfortunately, the Ontario or the OCA turnout is a little bit low today, but I suspect that's because it is beautiful out in Ontario right now. Most riders are taking advantage of the first opportunity to go out and ride a little bit. So we're only about a quarter of the field, but it is still a good opportunity for many riders to pick up points in this race series. This is race number 2 of the 6-race series. Got a nice little shout out there from Rob Visser, who's watching the stream right now. Thanks to everyone who is clicking in as well. We're going to get underway in just a few moments. So let's go on over and check out what is happening in the event. Showing 8 minutes and 18 seconds to the start of the D event, which is the 36th. So that means we have 2 minutes to go for the start of the A racers. So A racers, get ready because you're going underway in about 2 minutes. And hopefully there are no more glitches like we had last time. Okay, coming up to our final minute now for our A group. I won't be able to watch the start of that because I have selected the D race as my position to watch the race from. Unfortunately, I won't be able to race as well, so that yellow B-like looking jersey, that's me in the center there. I'm going to be staying in the corrals calling the race. So once the D racers start, I will be able to jump in and see what is happening with the C's, B's, and A's. Looks like we have about 20 viewers so far. People are clicking in right now. We'll see what those numbers get to during the event. Hopefully we get a few more viewers to cheer on all the riders. Here we go. We're 15 seconds away from the start of OCA IRRS race number 4, Sand and Sequoias. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the A's are being let out of the corral. There we go, and they're off. 2 minutes to the start of the B race. 2 minutes. Shout out to Rick Lee from NCCH. He is on the stream watching right now. Thanks for that little shout out, Rick. Just a reminder to all on racers who are racing today and watching, this is a points series. So finished places for all the riders in the event will get points. That is for the number of riders who do start the event. And if you do start and DNF, be sure to report your did not finishes to us so that we can give you your bonus points for doing so. There are bonus points for being honest. And if you register for the event and do not start, it's also important for you to let us know that you will not be racing, because we need to know. If you don't let us know that you DNS, it's minus 5 points in the bonus section, so watch out for that. There's also bonus points for riding with a power meter or smart trainer, using a heart rate monitor, and making sure you get your correct category on your Zwift name. Email events.team@ontariocycling.org to report your DNFs and DNSs. Less than 30 seconds to go before our B wave is off. All right, the B group is now off and on the road. Less than 2 minutes to go for our C group. C riders, get your last little bit of training in, drink a little bit of water, last opportunity to grab a snack from the side table. Reminder to all OCA riders, the feed zone is open right away from kilometer 0 and all the way until the end of the race. Feed zones are located either on your right or left of your trainer on the table. All right, checking in with our current point standings as we have a few more minutes before all the racers are off. Less than a minute to go for our C's. Speaking of C's, that is our Elite 4 Master 3 men. Batista Merida, Brody Bartlett, and Gino DiCarlo are leading the points series at the moment. They've got the top 3 going on in our Elite 4 men. It's Matt Randall, Ken Wand, and Isaac Dobos holding the top 3 spots in the point series. 20 seconds to go for the start of the C race. All right, folks, here we go. 10 seconds to go for our C racers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're off. Here we go. As you can see on the big clock now, we've got 2 minutes for the start of our D racers, and that includes our Sportif beginner men and women, as well as our youth category. So our U17 men and women and U15 men and women will be taking to the start in less than 2 minutes. And this is the group that I am sitting with at the moment. So we will get to see this start live on the screen, and then I will start jumping around to follow the race, as well as announce our final start for the women, which will be happening in about 3.5 minutes. Current points leaders now in our U15 women, Lillian Pelosa from Attack Racing with 15 points. Samantha Fangiat and Alex Fangiat are in our top 3. In the U15 men, we have Charles Leduc, one of our Quebec riders who's joining with us from Club Cyclisme from Magog, as well as Lucas Gertz and Antoine Bergeron from NCCH and KW Cycling Academy. Flip those. In our U17 men category, top 3 includes Enrique Martins, Lucas Norman, and Ethan Powell. And in the Sportif beginner category, Jared Rewarda and David Simpson and Jesse Sang in the top 3. All right, folks, here we go. We are about to have our D race starting in 10 seconds. I'm going to have to quickly pick someone to follow, otherwise they're going to leave me behind in the corral. In 5, 3, 2, 1, and they're off. Here we go. Gonna hop on here with Antoine Bergeron from NCCH as we have a nice start out of the corrals in the beautiful Sand and Sequoias course here in lovely Watopia. Less than 2 minutes to go for the start of our E race, which includes all of our women's categories, starting with the Elite 3 women, Elite 1-2 women, and our Master women. The only women we're missing are, of course, our U15 and U17s who are in the current D race at the moment. Looks like it's already long and strung out in the D race. Everyone is putting down the wattage nice and hard to get a good advantage and to separate the wheat from the chaff. We're starting off on the sand portion of the Sequoias course, so it's nice, long and flat. There may be some virtual wind physics here coming into play, some crosswinds, but most of that probably won't have much effect on the race until we get to Titans Grove, where the tall sequoia trees and the large amount of climbing will certainly prove to be selective for many of the riders here today. Not quite as bad as our London trip last week in the Greater London Loop, where we did several loops of the Box Hill course, where some riders were in the single-digit kilometers per hour going up that hill. Sometimes I'm surprised that Zwift hasn't created a get off the bike and push mode for their avatars with some of the climbs that you see in this virtual world. All right, here we go. Less than 20 seconds to go for our E-Women and our final group to start today on this lovely Saturday morning here at the OCA IRRS. Race number 4. All right, ladies, get ready. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're off. 2 minutes between each of our groups. 5 groups on the road right now. And we are currently looking at the D racers, and we've got Anton Bergeron giving us the view right now. He is currently sitting in the lead pack. Let's give him a little ride on there. And let's see how many we have in our group. Looks like there's about 15 to 20 riders in this front group, with a short little chase behind, broken up into 2 or 3 chase groups, so they may end up powering up and working together to make this group nice and large. So we're going to check back in with the Rawarda later and Bergeron later. As we move on up, let me go and check out the C race. Moving on up here. Not much of an easy way to move around the riders on this course when we have all 5 courses visible. The only way for me to really do it is to click on names as they scroll down and move on up. So we've got William Trishuk, one of our Master 3 men, and all-around great guys. He's also a commissaire on the road and track. So he's going to be in the race there, making sure everybody is racing correctly, although there isn't much you can do to get into trouble in the Zwift world. The physics just keeps you on the right side of the yellow line anyways, so I think everyone will do okay in this race. Looks like William Trishuk is sitting 17th and is not quite in the lead group. Let's see if I can move forward and find out who is. So we have a solo rider in the C group now, looking like he's got at least 20-30 seconds on the main group, putting out 7.2 watts per kilogram right now. That's pretty impressive. Looks like he's operating on a power meter with a little symbol there. Those of you want to know, Zwift allows both power meters and cadence and speed sensors, but it will tell you if they are riding one or not, and it usually has a little lightning bolt beside them. So we've got Batista Merida, our top-seeded points winner in the OCA IRRS series. He is currently sitting at 3rd overall, joined with M. Randall from Bateman's, so an E4 man working with Master 3. They are doing well together, sitting 2 and 3. So let's see if they can keep that going. They have a little bit of a gap on the main pack. Let's see, maybe about 2 or 3 seconds, so they might get swallowed up pretty quickly. Beautiful scenery here in the sand section of the Sand and Sequoias course. We're coming up on the large waterfall. Zwift certainly does a really good job at making these virtual worlds look great. Big shout out to everybody who is joining us on the live stream right now. We've got about 30 viewers at the moment. That's great. It's my largest viewership ever, as this is the first time I've ever done live streaming. So bear with me if I make any mistakes. Just trying to make this fun and enjoyable for everyone. In the studio right now, I've got Chantel Thompson from the OCA riding with the E-Women. We'll check in with them later. She's got the look of determination on her. It looks like she is sitting in a nice large peloton right now, so we'll have to see how things fare for her later. Okay, so that is our C group. Let's check in with the Bs. Lots of Bs in this race right now. There are 128 starters in the B race. Not as many in the Ontario group, but certainly quite a few riders to compete with. Looking at D. Simpson from NCCH right now, sitting just inside the 100 mark. Looks like we got a few riders in here with time trial bar extensions. I thought we'd turn that off on the racing features on Zwift. We'll have to check in with that for next week. Moving on up, trying to see who's in the front there. Oh, looks, there's another Ontario rider here. Oh, there's Rob Visser. He is on the stream. Let's see if I can click on him. There we go. Big ride on there for Rob Visser. Thanks for checking in with us early today. Dee Paulett, one of our Ontario racers here. B. Kingston, the Master 2 men from the 613 Cycling Club. That is our Ottawa area cycling club. Moving on up the B ranks, Derek D'Angelo, probably watching the stream today. He checked in with a subscription to my stream yesterday, so don't forget to sub, hit the bell, or whatever all the YouTube bloggers always say to get more people to sign up. So it looks like I found the front group here. Still fairly large, so it'll be fairly difficult for me to hone in on anybody. Dee Moyer from Ontario is in this group, as well as Graham Page, one of our points leaders as well. Graham Page recently getting an upgrade for having a high power output. As many of you know, a lot of people use Zwift Power to judge how strong they are and to give some reports, and also to make sure that nobody is truly sandbagging in the race. We do rely on Zwift Power quite often for information on how the riders are doing, but we also look at the wattage ourselves and then make some adjustments. Sometimes riders are able to stay in a category for various reasons, including, for example, we don't take any Master Ds out of the category that they've chosen to be in. And then I'll also look at some extenuating factors and then make some choices with the rider to make sure that everyone is correct in the correct category. And sometimes it doesn't match with what Zwift Power says, but a lot of that has to do with sometimes the length of the race that we choose and the types of races that the rider usually goes with. So we try to make it nice and easy and fair for everyone. The A group is required to have power meters to be qualified for the OCA race points, but we don't require that for anybody else except for the Elite 1-2 women in our E category. Everyone else can ride on a speed and cadence sensor, but if you are putting out really high watts because it's not calibrated properly, you'll just get moved up, and then if you end up in one of those two groups, you'll have to have a power meter. So there is no sense in actually going and doing something that will give you extra wattage. So play safe, play fair, report your correct height and weight, and make sure everything is dialed in and get a nice, fair race for everyone here. So that is our B race. Let's check in with the A race and see how they are doing and see if any of our top Ontario riders are sitting in the front group or are able to be in a breakaway by themselves. Looks like it has shattered fairly quickly as I move up the list here in the mid-50s and 60s. Lots of small groups. Looking on the course map up top on the right, looks like I might have found the front group here, which is being closely trailed by a chase group that is rather large as well. Let's see if we can get the overhead view here. Once we're in Titans Grove, it's kind of hard to see the roads as the hills and trees are certainly going to block a lot of things. So let's see if I can pop up here. Yes, this looks like the front group. We've got Jay Rusinek from Cryogen from Ontario sitting in this group. Moving on up. C. Rodriguez, another Ontario rider, sitting at 22nd overall at the moment. And it looks like we've got Martin Roops. He is racing here at Speed United. I'll have to remind Martin to register online with us if he wants to get counted with the Ontario points. Brad Parsons, our current Master 1 men's leader. He is currently in 5th overall, leading out this group. Give Brad here a nice little ride on. And I just saw Lawrence Acott from Techie Kids. A lot of thanks goes out to Lawrence Acott and also to Ray Ackerman from Techie Kids. They've been instrumental in helping get this series on by providing a lot of insight and advice to get this thing rolling. So thanks, guys, for all of that. They are also the moderators of a Facebook group called the Ontario Cycling Road Racing Series. I probably have that wrong, but it is a fairly popular race group, Facebook group for a lot of the road racers here in Ontario. We've set up with, I guess, the idea to help everyone with the racing year, which got curtailed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Once again, the overhead shot doesn't prove to be fruitful in the Titans Grove, as all we're looking at is trees. So let's get a closer one. And it looks like this group is starting to fracture a little bit as we are getting into some of the deeper climbs right now. We're at 3% on the clock. I'm not entirely familiar with the full layout of this course, but I suspect this is where we're going to lose a lot of the riders out the back, especially the riders that can't hold the wattage to stay up. Right now, Lawrence is putting out 330 watts going up this climb, and I think you need to be in the 300s definite to stay with the group here. Inching up now, 4%. Heads up to those of you who are still in the sand area. It is going to be a fun climb up the switchbacks as the gradient seems to roll a little bit as you go through the different areas. All right, let's go and take a look at our women's racers, see if I can come around. There's me sitting in the corral all by myself. All right. Don't think I'll be able to find any of the women racers because I'm stuck with the A group at the moment. Looking at my companion app, it looks like the group is entirely strung out through the switchbacks, and it looks like the front group might be coming towards the top. So I'm going to go and see if I can find the women's group. There we go. Okay, we have found the women, and Chantel Thompson, E3W. Let's give her a ride on. She's doing a great job and making sure that I can get the results, because if you sit in the corral and don't finish the race, you don't get to see the results. So it's one way that we can pull the results out of Zwift and make sure that we can make Ontario-related results. We've got quite a few Ontario riders in the women's race. Here's M. Gonzalez from Highgate Racing. We'll give a little ride on there. Isabel Catherine from the KW Cycling Academy, riding as an Elite 3. Moving up the list, we got on our Master Women's field, Kay Cullen, Dylan Baker, Attack Racing, also riding as an E3. Rosa Phillip from the Midweek Cycling Club, sitting 16th overall, and looks like she might be in the main group as we're moving on up here. Let's check how this is. Oh, and I have unlocked an achievement, ladies and gentlemen. I am now in the fan club after giving 100 ride-ons, but that's pretty easy. If you're sitting here the whole time, doing commentary. Moving up the E field here, Evelyn Sifton, E12, sitting 15th overall. S. Elliott from Highgate Racing in 14th right now. S. Hamill, E3W. And Paulina Allen from Highgate Racing, our current Masters leader in our points series. So the way the points series works is we have a table of points that starts at 100 and goes all the way down to 10 and is separated by about 25 places. So we take the number of starters in each category, so that's each Ontario category, not the Zwift category, and then we take those numbers of starters and then find the highest number of points according to that number of starters. I don't have the points table in front of me, so I can't give you an exact number, but if there were 25 starters, then you would get 100 points, and if there were 15 starters, somewhere in the middle, around 50, and then down from there. The least amount of points that you can get is 10 for starting and finishing a race, not including any of the bonus points that you might get. And unless there's only one or two riders, and then there's a small little points change there. But generally, by starting and finishing a race, you're getting 10 points. By registering, that's a bonus point. You get 5 points for that. By using a power meter, you get 2. By having a heart rate monitor, you get 3. And by having your OCA category in your name, you get 1. So you get 11 bonus points plus 10 points, so 21 points just for finishing the race. But of course, if you finish in a higher category, then you certainly will get more points. The more people that start the race, the more points that you get for finishing in the top 3, 5, or 10. So encourage all of your racing friends here in Ontario to try and register and participate in these races to make the points scale a lot larger. All right, let's move on back to our D group and see who we got here. A few Canadians, names I don't recognize, maybe from Quebec, not on the reg list as far as I can tell. In our D group, again, it's our youth riders and sportif riders. So here's Veer Suchak from the Milton Revolution Cycling Club. Veer's doing a great job. We'll give him a ride on there. Sitting 22nd overall in the field of 75. Possibly doing well amongst his peers as well. One of the Fangiet siblings is doing super well here. Sitting 10th overall, we'll give a ride on. One of the Rawarda is here also sitting 8th. And here's Antoine Bergeron in the 6th place overall, and it looks like this might be the lead group as well. Yes, it is. So Antoine, keep going and stay with that group. You're doing great. All right, so we're back to our start. Just want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in to the live broadcast here of the OCA live stream for the IRRS series here. This is race number 4, Sand and Sequoias. We've done 4 races already, and this is the second race in our points series. So there are lots of opportunities still left for you to come and get points. We're going to let you know what races are coming up. We can only change the race a week in advance, so once the technical guide comes out, you'll be able to see what race you're doing, but at least you know that we've got 4 more races in this series. As you all know, we are in a pandemic at the moment, and in Ontario, emergency measures are still in place. So group riding is still not permitted. Even though we've gotten into phase 1 of our opening, we are still being very cautious about what's happening, and any sanctioned activity outside of this virtual racing isn't quite yet permitted. So stay tuned with that. The OCA has been pretty good about announcing what's happening and what the moving forward plan is. So be sure to check in ontariocycling.org and find all the relevant information. And hopefully, if we do really well with the social distancing in phase 1 and move to phase 2, that we'll be able to get out there and do some group riding. And then, you know, if all goes really well, maybe we'll get some racing. But that'll remain to be seen as the summer months go out there. So if you are out there riding, try to stay socially distanced, ride solo, and be safe out there. So let's check back into our race. And we are still with our D group, and looks like we've got the Titans Grove KOM on the left-hand side, so that means that a few riders have been hitting the KOM. We don't see any yet because the Ds aren't quite there, but as we see how this progresses. It's nighttime in Watopia right now. As you can see, the full moon in front of our rider. And let's check in here with Antoine again. Antoine is sitting with our lead group. Let's see if I can pull up our A group to see if they've gone through the KOM. Oh, for sure they have, and they're also even in the Fuego Flats. And it looks like the first pass through it looks like one of our Gert siblings did a really good time in that sprint, 43:27. Antoine Bergeron, 43:41. One of the Fangiat siblings, 43:46. And that looks like there might be a few in there. It's hard to tell with the names. They don't scroll very big, but it's still interesting to see the standings. It'd be nice if Zwift gave me a little bit more control over it, but c'est la vie. So it looks like Brad is still with our lead group here. He's sitting on 9th overall, back in the sand section. The A group is doing a 4 laps, so that's 80.8 kilometers. It's sitting in a lap 2 right now. If this was real, it would certainly be really, really cold, as deserts tend to get chilly overnight. So hopefully that's a little bit of respite from the hot temperatures of the first lap during the daytime. Okay, let's pop around a little bit more here. Back to our D riders. And we've got our E's around as well. Just waiting to see if Zwift can give me an idea of what position everyone is in here. I'm currently following Paulina Allen, and it looks like, and very likely, that she is still sitting in first place overall. Why Zwift isn't giving me positions, it's hard to tell. As the women are now cresting through the switchbacks of Titans Grove. Let's check on back with the A riders, as my mouse just selected one for me. So Nancy Schmaler from Highgate Racing is with Evelyn Sifton. Getting a little hard to stay with certain groups here. And our A riders are now heading through the Old West Town. Still driving a super hard pace right now, as the front riders are putting out 400 watts through the flats here, averaging about 48 kilometers an hour. I gotta say, I'm super impressed that these riders are still able to put out this kind of wattage after a nice long climb. And if you want to stay with this race, you got to be able to hold that for another 60 kilometers. So hopefully riders will be able to get through the whole thing and not get shut out the back the next time through Titans Grove. It's certainly going to be a race of attrition. You can certainly see that we have our power-ups on. Riders are taking advantage of the drafting and featherlight bonuses as they get them. Let's check in with our live stream there. Rob Visser says, "Ride on, Chantel." That's great. Good to hear local riders supporting everybody. Big shout out to Kevin Gertz. Thanks for the little compliment there. Glad you guys are able to watch the riders. Hopefully I can give you a few more views of your kids as they're raiding. Feeling my watch buzzing for the last 10 or 20 minutes, and I look down and it looks like it's YouTube letting me know everyone is subscribing, so thanks for the subs. Hopefully we'll see you here back next week as we have more live action here at the OCA Indoor Road Race Series. All right, folks, I'm back. Just a small little problem of forgetting to unmute my microphone. So I was having a little bit of a chat there talking about our women's group as they were going through Titans Grove and how everything was shattered. And we have a small lead group there of 6 who are currently in the downhills. So I'll have to make sure I check my microphone's mute setting once more before I begin speaking. Right now, we are currently sitting with our D racers. That's Lucas Gertz. He is in the lead group of D riders. Way to go, Lucas. That is a wonderful Good job there. Looking to score some more points in our U15 men's field. Moving on up to our C group, checking in with them. Still a lot of riders in this race. 105 are still on the course. I think we started with 115. So there have been a few riders who have either given up or even worse, maybe had the crash of the computer system, which makes it impossible to get back in. If anybody knows how you can get back into a race in Zwift after crashing, let us know so we can let everybody else know. For those of you who have been Zwifting for a while, you're probably familiar with this, but for those of you who aren't, you need two things to operate in Zwift. You need a computer to run the Zwift program, and then you also need a tablet or a phone to basically, it's called the Zwift Companion app. It's kind of hard to see. I try showing it in the camera, it just washes out there. So if you can see on the little bit of an angle there, I'm currently on the map screen, so it can show that we're in the desert area right now, just after the start. So we're on lap number 2 for most of our groups that are in this area. If you can see the little dots moving around, it's a neat way to see where all the riders are around you. So if you're riding separately and you're maybe hoping for a group and you don't see the little indications at the bottom of your screen saying that there are riders behind you, you know that there are some around you, so maybe you can work really hard and go on up. So those of you just tuning in, this is the live stream of the Ontario Cycling Association Indoor Road Race Series number 4, part of our 6 race series that we're having here for all of our Ontario racers who are stuck inside because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Like I said, we are in race number 2 of our 6 race series, so we've already got 1 race under our belt. Riders are getting points for finishing, and it's based on the number of starters. And there's also some bonus points for honesty, including using power meters, heart rate monitors, making sure you have your name in your category, your category in your name, as well as reporting did not finishes. It just makes it easier for us to collate all the results at the end of the day, as well as reporting your did not starts, which in fact gives you some negative points in the bonus scale. So be sure to report those things to us so we can get results out quicker and get the series points up faster. So tuning back into the race, we are currently following our C group, and let me move on up the list here. Here's T. Peters, one of our Master of 3 men. Let's give a ride on, a little support. It's tough when you're out there by yourself or in a small group. Jay Reiner, E4 men, let's give another ride on going on. Okay, popping up our list. It's a little tough to find riders when there's over 450 starters and only a quarter of them are from Ontario, but I think this is Albert Kleinekink. Albert, if that is you, don't forget to put your category name in your Zwift name so you can grab those bonus points for the series. Idobos E4M, that's a ride on. Nice little group here, so everyone can work together and maybe put some distance between, or cut the distance between them and the group in front. Moving on up, looking for some more Ontario riders to give kudos to. Here we go, M. Orr, we're going to give a thumbs up there. D. Ruse. Apologies if I don't know all of your first names. There's a lot of names to get through. Some I recognize from the reg list, some I don't. But hopefully we can give you shout-outs and ride-ons. M. Gallagher from Faction Racing got a little triad going here, sitting 36th overall. G. Gunderman, Master 3 men, got a nice little group. I don't think it's the front group because he's sitting 33rd currently, so this might be the second group on the road. The chase group looking to bring the breakaway back. Keep working hard, gentlemen. If you hear any noise in the background, that is Chantel singing along to her own music. She's got the headphones in and digging deep to get a nice finish for herself today. As I said before, she's riding today to produce results, so big shout out to Chantel Thompson and all the OCA crew for helping make this work. There you go. She's saying you're welcome. All right. Lots of movement in this pack here. I'm trying to see if I can land on. Oh, there is a Bergeron there. I'm going to say right on. This might be our lead group in the C. And see if I can go back. It looks like they have about a minute. So if you are in the second group, there's a 1 minute gap The lead group in the C's are at the waterfall. So think of this like race radio. If you've tuned in to the live stream, you're getting a little bit of race radio here. For those of you who don't know, tomorrow the Saskatchewan Cycling Association is putting on a live event on a different platform. It's the Road Grand Tours, the RGT platform, and in that race they are hosting for U17s and junior racers, so junior men and women and U17 men and women, and it's going to be a race series, and they're using real life courses in Ontario, which is something that the RGT platform allows for, and it's every Sunday starting at 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern, and there is a point series, so check it out. Cycling Canada has the link on their website, that's cyclingcanada.ca, and check in with your provincial sport organization, your PSO, Ontario Cycling or Cycling BC, Alberta Cycling, and so on. They'll have more information on that. So that's tomorrow at 9 a.m. and 12 Eastern for junior men and women and U17 men and women. A neat little vantage point as we're following our lead group in the C race, going through the tunnels in the rocky section of the sand area, the desert area of Watopia. It's always neat to go down in tunnels. Last week when we were in Greater London, part of the transfer between the fictional areas of London on the Thames over to the Box Hill area, because of course they are not geographically connected in real life. You went down into the London Tube, and they used plywood boards on top of the stairs to allow for riders to ride down the stairs and then go across and then into the tunnels, onto the tracks, and then back up and then into the Box Hill rural area. It was kind of neat to watch. Of course, I had a little bit of shudder as a real-life race organizer. I'm pretty sure if I were to lay plywood boards down on what are likely some sort of concrete or similar stairs, I would probably get laughed out of the sanctioning agreement room, and my insurer would certainly have nothing to do with me after that. But of course, here in the virtual world, where physics don't matter and anything's possible, these sort of things make for a neat experience, especially when you can get some beautiful vistas like this right now with the mountains and the snow-capped peaks in the distance there. Okay, moving on up into our B race. Here's Hussein Weeb. We're going to give him a ride on. Looks like we've got somebody riding from one of our pro teams here from Kelly Benefit Strategies. Wonder if they are on the team or they work for the company. In any case, it's good to see some of the pros possibly racing here with us. All right, moving on up the Bs. Here's D. Cook, our lead 3 men. We're going to give a ride on there. So for those of you who are watching and you see a ride on from A Events, that's me. Here we go. N. Brown from University of Toronto Road Racing, one of our E2M in our A group. So he's sitting with our B group. Looks like he's fallen off, but he's found someone to ride with. Normally in road racing, we don't allow for riders of different categories to ride together, but this is an option that is not allowed when you have all the riders showing on course at once. We can have it separate so that all races start separately and only your category is visible, but it's a little nicer sometimes on these hills to have someone to work with for those riders who have dropped off the back. The riders who are at the front are going to win, and they are in a group together. But for certainly when we do some crits, it would be visibility off so that it's not a complete cluster of riders moving around and getting zoomed by. So let's move on up the Bs again. Still 128 riders. We're looking for that Ontario category. There's Lucas Rowerda. I think that is there, sitting 66 overall. Nice group to ride with. Oops, I can still give Lucas a ride on there. I think, yep, there we go. Lots of fluctuations in this group, so we're going to move on up. A couple of riders riding solo ahead of that group. Looks like they'll need to find someone to work with, or they might just get swept up by that large group behind them. Oh, there's Rob Visser again. Doing well. Nice group to ride with here. Sitting 50th overall. Top 50. That's great, Rob. Keep going. Oh, there we go. Jay Kitney. If I can never click on his name. Giving Jay Kitney a ride on. P. Major from LDCC. Getting a ride on. Oh, and looks like our Titans Grove leaderboard just popped up there, so let's take a look at that right now, see if any of our riders are in it. Lucas Gertz, one of our U15 riders, did the KOM in 5 minutes, 5 seconds. Great job, Lucas. It looks like Antoine Bergeron did it in roughly the same time, maybe 0.3 of a second later, so that's real close on the hill climb there. One of our WCC Sport riders did it in 5:36. And we have one of the Fangiets here in 5:37. Moving on up, our B group here. Forgive me if I get the name wrong. It's Y. Connickney from Bateman's Bike Co. E3M getting a ride on there. Sitting 41st overall. E. Pollitt a little bit ahead. And this looks like one of our, probably the largest group, if not the lead group, in the B race. Lots of other riders outside of the OCA series. James Eaton, M2M Techie Kids, is sitting in this group, sitting 22nd. And I see about 20 riders ahead of him, so this is likely the main group. So we'll give a ride on to James there. D. Charles, I can still give a ride. I can't hold on to any of this. I wish there was a better interface for this, but this is made for the individual riders and not live stream hosts. So fortunately, this is the best we can do. And this is Le Peddler, otherwise known as Yanni Beck, Elite 3 men, sitting 18th in the main group here. S. Bossy from E3M Faction Racing is in the group as well. Let's see, Graham Page sitting 13th overall, one of our Elite 3 men. And it looks like there is a solo rider about 10 seconds off the front of the group, trying to see if he can power his way through the Titans Grove area. Watch out for that tree. Duck, everyone, as you come through. This rider from France is not using a power meter, putting out almost 6 watts per kilogram. So let's hope that his trainer is nice and dialed in, and he's actually putting out that kind of wattage, and it is true. This is why a lot of riders prefer to only allow power meters in their groups, because they are a little bit more accurate. Although even power meters have their trouble. If they're not calibrated properly, they could be 10, 20, 30, even 50 watts off as well. So if e-racing ever becomes a much more serious reality, and it is likely for that kind of thing to happen, as this pandemic has certainly thrust us into the virtual age, there will have to certainly be a few more things looked at to ensure fairness amongst everybody. So that is our B race. Let's check in with our A race. Here's E. Deer from University of Toronto Road Racing. We'll give them a ride on. And another Techie Kids rider. This looks like Lawrence. Looks like Lawrence has fallen off the main group. He's sitting here in the back, about the middle of the overall field, about 48th so far. We'll give Lawrence another ride on. Oaken Work, one of our Master 1 men. He is in one of the main groups, judging on his position of 40th. This is probably maybe the third or the fourth group back. Good job, Oaken. Well, this looks like the Fangiet dad here riding in the sport category. Give him a little ride on. I think your kids are doing well. Up, D. Simpson looks like has taken a bit of a break there. Trying to find the lead of the A group there. Okay, here, I think this is the lead pack in the A's. Looks like Kay Johnson from CCF Racing is with the group. Good job there. It certainly is tough to do announcing alone, so hopefully in the coming weeks we can do some things where we can connect with some of you who are racing in this event and maybe do like a Zoom meeting and get some feedback from riders who are in the racing. So if anybody who's watching the stream right now and racing would like to participate, give us a shout. The email is events.team@ontariocycling.org. And let us know if you want to participate. We'll try to set something up. Or if you think you want to give me a hand with the announcing and we can do a dual kind of thing, and let me know that as well. It's certainly a lot easier to have somebody help out, as well as less boring for everybody here to not have to listen to me drone on for over an hour. So email us, events.team@ontariocycling.org if you're interested in participating in the live stream. Going back to our A riders, so yes, I've got the first place position in the A group, so there is nobody, and it looks like we're coming on Chantel Thompson right now. There's the A group, and I'm looking on the big screen over here in the studio, and they just passed her, so unfortunately she wasn't able to get onto that group to get a little bit of a draft, but she's still doing great. All right, that's enough looking at the A's. Let's see if I can pull up the E race here, going into my Zwift companion app. And not having much luck there. Once again, the controls aren't really meant for live streaming, but they certainly do help when they work. All right, there we go. K Fife, Master Women. We'll give her a ride on, and we found it. Sagan Gertz. There we go. From our U15 race, let's give Sagan a little thumbs up. Big thanks to the Gertz for making sure that both of your kids are registered today. So we've got them on the result sheet ready to go. No problem. Reminder to all Ontario riders that you should be registering every week with our online registration form so that we have your data ready to go for the results and the series points afterwards. So every week, check in. We should have the link live by Tuesday at the latest. But of course, nothing changes, virtual or real life. Everyone seems to want to register in the final 48 hours before a race. In the real world, that usually means that people are watching the weather, but I still have yet to figure out what that means virtually. It probably still means they're watching the weather, but in the real world, as so evidenced by today's lower turnout in the race today, with weather being as amazing as it is. So here's Isabel Catherine from the KW Cycling Academy, sitting at 33rd. She has a nice little group with Yasmin Perdon, and they're riding well together. Moving on up the category, it looks like M. Gonzalez, unfortunately, riding alone, so keep going there. You got a couple of riders right behind you. Maybe they'll catch up and you can work together as a group. Rosa Phillip sitting at 23rd overall. 29.7 kilometers, already on to lap number 2. So the E group, actually the E's, D's, and C's are all doing 2 laps, so that's 40.4 kilometers. The B's are doing 60 laps, so 60.6, and our A's are doing 4 laps of 80.8, 4 times up the hills of Titans Grove. Nancy Schmaler from Highgate Racing doing really well here. She's in this, looks like secondary group here, sitting at 20th overall. Still pretty shattered here. We've got Dylan Baker from Attack Racing and one of our master women, Kay Cullen from SOMCC, sitting in the high teens right now. A couple of riders with them from different parts of the world. A Faneuf from OBC riding with H. Spence, also from Canada. They are 15th, 16th. Jay Laverne, one of our E3 women from OBC, cresting the climbs in Titans Grove. A lot of little punchy bits here. You know, you just saw it there, 6%, and then now they have a quick little downhill, and then they're back up. So they are kind of rolling climbs, not quite as steep and not quite as hard of a gradient as they were in London last week. Here we go, one of the Fangiet kids, U15, riding in our D race, also with a few of our women moving up. Holly Clark from Toronto Hustle, let's give her a ride on. I haven't done that today. She's sitting 10th overall with the women, and she's riding Elite 3 women. That she may be the highest placed E3 woman. Let's move on up the list. We've got S. Elliott, Brandy Jewett in 9th and 8th. And it looks like our E-women. Okay, we have Gabby Eady riding as an E3, and she is 6th overall, so she looks like, oh no, there's another one right up here. S. Hamel in 3rd overall, and our top placed E3 woman. Once again, our master women are leading the charge right now. Paulina Allen and SN. I should check to see if I can tell you who that is. I don't have my start list up. Let's see, SN is probably Shauna Novak. Shauna, if you're watching this, let's see if you can get you to put your full name on your Zwift username so that we can call out your standings in the future. So that is your E-race standings. Let's move on up to our Ds once again. And we've got the leader in the D Cup category right here, riding with our lead E women. So let's move down and see if I can find. There we go. Lucas Gertz riding alone, unfortunately, now. These hills in Titans Grove have been selected for the D racers. Lucas sitting 4th overall, and our lead U15 men. Lucas does have a partner to ride with, but from a different category, so that's nice to have a little help there for sure. Antoine Bergeron looks like in the 2nd overall in the U15 category and 5th in the Ds. Oh, another rider who is taking a bit of a break. All right, so I was trying to find the lead of the C group, but it didn't look like I have found it. I also have the distance wrong on the race. I thought it was about 20.2 kilometers. I got that detail from another website, so that is incorrect. But that also may include a little bit of a start loop that I wasn't entirely sure about. We are watching the C group right now. That should be doing 2 laps only. If I can look at the map here. And it looks like we got another leaderboard here from the Fuego Flats. Looks like I only get to see the leaderboards from my category, which is understandable. So let's take a look in it. And looks like Lucas Gertz took top place in our Ontario category, 43.27 in the Preem. And Antoine Bergeron, 43.41, just shortly behind. And one of the Fangiat twins there, U15 women, 43.46. So good job on those sprints. And it looks like that was our finish, as riders are slowing down. So good job, Jay Allison. Looks like you did a top effort there. It is possible that you finished first. I wasn't able to catch it, so I'm going to move down here and see if I can get out of. A lot of riders finishing here, the C's and the B's. It's kind of hard to capture everybody, and I am out of the race, so I'm going to have to try to see if I can get back to me here and then click back in. Okay, so top riders in the C's have finished. Looks like our top 9 of the C group has finished. See if I can find any of our D's here. Oh, and it looks like our E women, so maybe 2 or 3 kilometers left to go. I've got S. Peller in here. She's sitting first overall. Paulina Allen is still in the group as well, looking for a big finish. Shauna Novak also in the group. And we have some D's here as well. So we'll stay with this group here right now, right into the finish. After the race is over, be sure to check ontariocycling.org for the results of the Ontario race. We usually have them up by Saturday evening. Takes a little while to extract all the results. Super important for everyone to report your DNFs to events.team@ontariocycling.org. Also, please report if you registered and did not start. It makes the result process go a lot smoother, as we have to rely on information from both Zwift and Zwift Power to tabulate the results for the Ontario racing. Nice little overhead shot here in Watopia in the desert section. One rider is leading off the front there. It's a B rider, so no one in this group is too worried about it. You can see in the top left-hand corner, we've got the little green circle that gives you an idea of what group color riders are in, because they match the groups, as the E's are purple, the C's are blue, D's are yellow, and so on. Wattage is starting to creep up here as we approach the 42-kilometer mark. for our lead women in the E group. Watching Paulina Allen now, working really hard, 170 BPM, cranking a big gear, only turning 82 revolutions per minute, 250 watts. Paulina's looking for a nice big finish. Gabby Eady right behind her. Here we go. The pack is starting to stretch out a little bit. Paulina now sitting first overall in our women and first in the group altogether. Taking a little draft off of a D rider. Group is only seconds behind Paulina. Don't want to let her get away. Angela Webster is putting down the chase along with Gabby Eady. So they are now neck and neck coming into the finish stretch, and that was the line. It looks like no big arch for this race. That's why I missed it. I got to watch the map there because it's a big rock arch. So it looked like Paulina Allen took that sprint with Gabby Eady and Angela Webster in 2 and 3 for the group. So we'll have to check in with the actual results and the photo finish to see who took all those results. Meanwhile, let's go back to me and check in with other riders. So that's our E race, and we have some D racers. So let's see if we can check in with Bergeron and Gertz. See if they have finished. Moving up. The A group. A group is now currently sitting on lap 3 of 4, and they are in Titans Grove. Climbing up the hill right now. I'm trying to see if I can find our lead in the D group from Ontario. Here we go, a few more Gs moving on up. I've got Alex Fangiat here in my sights, sitting 11th overall on the Ds. About 2 or 3 kilometers to go now, working really hard. Coming down the descents into the finish. Jay Laverne in the E group. Still working hard, working away. Here we go, Antoine Bergeron, 4th overall, with a couple of kilometers left to go. And here's Lucas Gertz sitting 3rd overall with the Ds, using his double draft bonus there. Drafting assist. Coming up to the finish now. It looks like this one's going to go to Lucas. Looks like he's got about 800 meters on Antoine. Lucas putting the pedal to the metal now for a nice little solo finish. This is our lead, U15M in the D category, also our top Ontario rider in the D, and he is coming into the finish. And there you go, Lucas Gertz, first in our U15 men and in our D group. With Antoine Bergeron right behind him, only a few hundred meters. All right, let's go check in with our B racers, see where they are at the moment. There we go. Lots of riders off the back in small groups, still in the back half of the first 100. So that hill was certainly very selective. Here we go, nice little group here in the middle in the mid 70s. All right, checking in with our live studio audience here. Looks like I am getting a little bit of updates. We got Rob Visser saying laps are 20.2 kilometers and the lead-in was 2.3 kilometers. All right, so I'll have to check that out next time. Thanks, Rob, for that little update. So that means that the C's, D's, and E's, doing math in my head, will be 42.7 kilometers. So I'll have to do the math for the other groups as well. So thanks for that. Thanks to everybody who has joined in on the live stream today. I hope everyone has enjoyed it so far. Just a few more finishes to get through, and then we'll be done for the day. So stick with us. Let your friends know about it. Let everybody else know. Hopefully you had fun. And like I said, if anybody's interested in joining the live broadcast next week, let us know through the email at events.team@ontariocycling.org, and we'll see what we can do for subsequent weeks there. Checking in with the message board here, Rick Lee is saying great ride to Lucas and also happy birthday. So let's embarrass Lucas here. It's his birthday today. Unfortunate that it has to be during this pandemic. For anybody who had a birthday like myself in the last few months, it was tough that you weren't able to celebrate with other folks, but nonetheless, it's still a fun day, so hopefully you enjoyed it, and good on you for racing. Moving up the B column now. Trying to see if I can find the lead. So I had the B's originally doing 60.6, but with the 2.3 lead in, that's 62.9 kilometers. Oh, and it looks like we've got the leaderboard here for the D racers. Let's take a quick look at that. And it looks like Lucas and Antoine ended up being third and fourth the last time around there with their KOMs. And we've also got Alex Fangiet, I believe, here. Yeah, she was sitting at 13th with 5:37.9. Right, moving on up the B's, trying to find the lead group here. Eric D'Angelo, Master 2 Men, sitting at second place. And this looks like our lead group based on its size. You see Dean Moyer. See if I can click on. So hard to click on names when the group is this tight. Going up the switchbacks in Titans Grove. I almost said Cathedral Grove. That's a great little place to visit if you're ever on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. Cathedral Grove. There are some trees there that are 16 to 20 feet in diameter. It's incredible to go see. A lot of these trees are like that. Somehow I've lost the B group and now I'm in the A group again. Let's see. There we go. So here is the front of our B group with a few riders leading out the hard pace 280 watts going up this hill. It's starting to stretch out a little bit. This looks like our current leader. This is E. Magnani from M2M Movati Stages. I also believe that he is our current points leader as well. We didn't talk about that, I think, when we were doing the start of the race. Yes, that's Enrico Magnani from Movati Stages Racing, currently sitting at 71 points from his win last week in London. Oaken Work is in second with 66 points, and James Eaton is in third with 61 points. And I believe those guys are all here in this group. I'll have to take a look. Hard to see. Yep, there's James. Don't quite see Oaken in this group. If I pass by you, I apologize. But those are your top three in the B racers. Checking in with Enrico again. Enrico is leading out the pack right now. He is first overall in the 128 riders in the B group. Still quite a bit of distance to cover here, approximately 13 kilometers to go for our B race. So there you have it, folks. This is the still a rather large peloton happening for our B group. So let me move on up and see if I can catch some A racers and find out. Oh, there's Adam Galt, one of our Master 1 riders, unfortunately riding alone in the descents of Titans Grove, but we'll give him a ride on. Keep on going, Adam. Here's Chris Hurton from Techie Kids, another Master 1 rider that I'm able to give the thumbs up to. Keep on going, Chris. Sitting 32nd overall. Nice group to work with in the descents here. About 10 more K to go for the third of 4 laps. So this is going to be a long one. 1 hour and 18 minutes into this race. 60 kilometers in. About 23 more to go. Excuse me, almost 30 more to go. So we're looking at just sub 2 hours. And there's Oakenwork. Looks like he's fallen off the back of the main group in the A's. Trying to get back to the leaders. All right, looks like our current leader in the A's is Kai Johnson, one of our E12 men. A lot of the big names that we saw last week aren't racing the E12 race this week because currently we have the virtual Tour of the Gila running. The Echelon Project Racing Group has been putting on virtual races for a lot of the old classic and large U.S. races that were canceled, unfortunately, due to the coronavirus pandemic. So they started off with the Redlands Classic, the virtual Redlands, and that was a crit that was done here in Zwift. And now they're doing a multi-stage Tour of the Gila. So checking with that all weekend, I believe riders like Bruce Berg and Connor White and all the top E12s that ride for the Hamilton United and Toronto Hustle are over in the virtual Tour of the Gila right now. So hopefully we'll see them back next week as we continue our indoor road race series. So checking back in with the broadcast. It is now nighttime in the desert for our lead A group riders. And they still have approximately 20K or so to go for this race as they approach the finish line for the 1 to go bell. So while that's happening, let's see if we can find some of our B racers and check in with them. I believe they will have the first finish as they are only doing 3 laps. So let me run up. There's Jay Kitney from Dirt, M2M sitting 35th. There's Yanni Beck sitting 20th overall, still with the main group. So I'm gonna put on Derek D'Angelo here. He was one of the first ones to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for the ad there, Derek. Hopefully you're watching the live stream right now as well. Less than a 3K to go now. As they hit the descents in Titans Grove. So let's stay with them right now. Try to find our leader. And it's currently very frothy here. Hard to stay on number 1. Here we go, S. Bossy, 3M Faction Racing was holding the front there for a second. It's possible that there are riders up the field, so I'm going to go up and take a look here. No, doesn't look like it. Sometimes it's really tough. Oh, there's me again. Somehow it jumps around in weird ways, unfortunately. So it looks like there is somebody up the field. As every time I click on the lead rider here, it is listed as, the lead rider is listed as second place. So let's see if I don't want to leave this group right now. So it's hard to find out. Hopefully it's one of our riders. And if not, then it doesn't matter. All right, now that we are in the flats before the finish and we are coming up to our corral area, which is the 2.3 kilometer mark, things are starting to get a little frothy here. And I found our leader. Here we go. It's A. Loria putting out 7.5 watts per kilogram. That's a pretty impressive output there on a power meter too, so it's got to be fairly legit. Here's the overhead view. It's coming a bit closer. And it's Graham Page leading out our Ontario riders. And D. Charles is heading up, putting out some wattage, sitting in second overall. Oh, it's Yanni Beck in seventh right now, sitting fifth at the moment. It's getting really frothy in there. Oh, and it looks like we have a little bit of a challenge. This might be Enrico. Graham Page still in the front there. It's still going to be a tight group. I won't be able to call this finish. Enrico Magnani near the front. Yanni Beck, D. Charles. Everyone's jockeying for position right now, putting down the watts. 1K to go. That's what we're missing on this course, is the big red arch, even though they're not allowed to put them on courses anymore. They sure could have put something there for us people watching the race. And the wattage is slowly creeping up, 330, 340. Heart rates are going up. Yanni Beck still at the front, Derek D'Angelo, James Eaton. Who's it going to be, folks? Less than a K to go now. Hundreds of meters. It's anyone's game. It's going to come down to the photo finish. There's the arch on the map. Here's the big overhead. Who's going to take it? There's the archway. Who's it going to be? Kingston, Magnani, D'Angelo. And here comes the finish. Oh, too close to tell from this vantage point. All right, that is the finish for our B racers. Once again, to check in for the results later this evening at ontariocycling.org. We got one more race on the course right now. It is our A race. Let me tune in. So they will be doing 83.1 kilometers, if I did that math in my head correctly. Here's Chris Hurt, Techie Kids in the main follow group. So it's two large groups for the A race. There's the lead group here of roughly, looks like 14 riders, 15 riders, currently sitting at 70.5K. And then going on down back here, there's another group that is about 5 kilometers back. So with only 10 kilometers left in the A group, it doesn't look like this group will be able to make up that gap. It looks like a winning break, that's for sure, for this lead group of A riders. So we'll check in with them. Let's move on up. Here's our lead group of riders leaving the desert for the last time as they approach Titans Grove. And there is a picture of the LAX airport structure. I guess that's a fun little thing that they have in this part of the desert here on the island in Watopia. Martin Roops from X-Speed United in this group. Not registered in the Ontario race, but hopefully we can get him on board in the future. Brad Parsons still doing well. Looks like he's our lead Master 1. And Kai Johnson is our lead E1-2 in this group. All right, for those of you just tuning in right here at the end, we are currently broadcasting the live Ontario Cycling Association Indoor Road Race Series, race number 4 here at the Sand and Sequoias course in beautiful Watopia. Over 450 riders started the race today, but a quarter of that from the Ontario group. A lot of that has to do with how beautiful it is outside in southern Ontario right now. It's beautiful, plus 20. I think this is the first Saturday that everyone gets to go out and enjoy a beautiful day riding. Hopefully everybody is still employing social distancing out there and only riding alone, as we still don't have the go-ahead from the government or from Ontario Cycling for any sanctioned group ride activities. So at the moment, all we have for group activities right now is online, like this race right now happening here. We've got one group left on the road with stragglers from other groups still finishing their race. This is the A group, who are doing 83.1 kilometers here in the Sand and Sequoias course. That's 4 laps. We are on the final lap here, less or approximately 10K to go for our lead group. So we're going to stay with them for the next few minutes and follow that finish. For those of you who are interested in watching, we've got this live stream every week for the Ontario Cycling Association IRRS series at every week, 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. So just check out my YouTube channel. My name is Andrew Paradowski, and I've been your host today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Click on subscribe and click on the little bell at the bottom to join the link every week and watch the action here in the virtual racing world in Ontario racing. So going back to the race here, we are watching the lead group and our lead 1-2 men. That's Kai Johnson, who is leading out our race. We've also got our local favorite from X-Speed United, Martin Roops. We'll see if we can get him registered next week. Also in this group here, we have Brad Parsons, our lead Master 1-2 men. I also believe that he is our leader in the points series. Let's check in. Yes, he is. Brad Parsons sitting with 37 points from last week's race. And then Carlos Rodriguez, who was also in the race today, was also in second place in 34. And Andrew Bazell sitting in third place with 33 points. Lawrence Acott in fourth with 31. We saw him in the race today, so hopefully those guys will be able to add to their points today. See if we can get a nice overhead view here in the Grove. No, we can't, because they're covered by trees once again. But the low overhead shows how frothy it's getting in the front group here. We are currently in a bit of a flat section, but the climbing will be coming shortly, as you can see in the overhead group here of the map. As we get a bit closer, the switchbacks will be starting shortly, and some of these painful climbs near the top of the mountain. As we're following our final group of the day towards the finish, our A racers. Now seeing about a 3% climb. The wattage is starting to go up so that they can keep the pace going. Still managing at 45 kilometers an hour up these short foothills before we get into the true switchbacks in Titans Grove. Some of our riders here taking advantage of the power-ups. We have the Featherlight power-up. Kai Johnson using it to drop a little bit of weight and improve his watts per kilogram for this short section. They only last for a short distance, but any little bit helps. Especially near the end, a lot of riders like to use, if they have the drafting bonus, they like to use it at the end as kind of like a bike throw to get that little bit of an edge. Here we go. This is the first-person view for Kai Johnson. This is what it looks like if you were in his cycling shoes right now. Only a few riders ahead of him staying well-positioned here in the front, not wanting to give up position. As you start sliding back through the group, if you end up in the back, it becomes a little tougher to stay in the draft. Everyone duck as we come up to the fallen tree there. About 7K to go as we are now into the switchback, seeing about 3% on the climb. Nothing too crazy, a couple of punchy little bits here, but averaging 3 to 5% for most of these climbs. Let's flip back here to Brad Parsons' view. Another rider using the Featherlight power-up. Let's check in with the YouTube chat room, see what's going on there. Rob Krasny is saying happy birthday to Andrew. I wonder if he means me there. My birthday was a few months ago, but appreciate it nonetheless. Big shout out to everybody who has come and joined the live stream here. We got Rob Visser, who's also riding for sure, and his son Kevin Gertz, that's the Gertz's dad, also riding, I think. Rita Lona, Rob Krasny, Rick Lee. So thanks for watching the stream today. Hopefully we can get a few more people watching in the coming weeks. Okay, looks like we are in the downhill section now for our lead group in the A riders. Things are getting a little fast here, 66 kilometers an hour as our riders are zooming down. This race is going to be over in the next few minutes. We got a close eye on Kai Johnson and Brad Parsons, our two leaders in the Ontario section of this race. They are doing well, sticking with the lead group. Lots of jockeying for position here. About 11 riders in this lead group, so it looks like they have shed most of the local competition. And they're back up another hill, so it's up, down in the Titans Grove. Gradient goes negative again as riders are switching back through the back half of Titans Grove to get back down to the desert for the final few kilometers. Just a few hundred meters shy of the 80-kilometer mark. All right, -5, still the descent into the darker portions of Titans Grove here. Makes me long for the days back when I lived in British Columbia. Taking a few snapshots here as we are about to transition out of Titans Grove into the final few K. So we have a little geyser up in front of us. That's a neat little feature. Looking at the map on the Zwift Companion app, it looks like the groups behind have certainly split up. Riders are putting down the wattage to try to get a favorable finish here. So I don't know exactly how big the large group is in the back. There's a few solo riders here that might have been part of our group, or riders that have come out the front, but it is certainly broken up a lot in the back of this race. All right, the T intersection is coming up. That means we're about to turn back into the desert area. And here's the final view from Titans Grove up top from the helicopter. Less than 3K to go. Coming up to the corral area. You see those on your left, at 2.3 kilometers left. There's a solo rider off the distance, but that is not part of the A group. This is another rider finishing a different group. Still 11 riders in our lead A group here, consisting of Kai Johnson and Brad Parsons and other riders from around the world. One K to go for our A riders, and looks like Kai Johnson is putting down some big watts leading up to the finish. And here the riders go. They're queuing up for the finish. 500 meters to go. And it's starting to thin out. Riders are cracking a little bit. Everyone is just putting down the final sprint now. I can just see it. Riders coming out of the saddle. 200 meters to go. Wait for that final arch. And there's the arch in the map screen. Final sprint, riders using their draft bonuses. And it looks like Brad Parsons is coming in there. He's happy with his first place finish. Kai Johnson a little bit further ahead. Also happy with his first place finish in Ontario. And there you have it. There is our leader, Kai Johnson from Ontario, with Brad Parsons shortly behind. So that concludes the racing here today for Ontario Cycling Indoor Road Race Series number 4. It was a great event. A lot of riders out today. We had well over 100 starters in the Ontario group and around 450 starters in the overall racing. So thanks to everybody who came out today and participated. Just a reminder to everybody that you should be registering every week at ontariocycling.org. Fill out the form, and also be sure that if you are going to DNF at any of the races or DNS, to email us, let us know. Results should be online later this afternoon after we've had a chance to go over all the results from Zwift and Zwift Power, and also to confirm that everybody has started and completed the race. So once again, my name is Andrew Paradowski. Thanks again for coming on out and having some fun with us today. We hope you guys had fun, and we will see you all next week here live on Saturday at 10:30 a.m. for another exciting round of Ontario Cycling Association Indoor Road Racing on Zwift.